Let's keep going.
A new law aimed at keeping first responders, police, and others safe on highways went into effect yesterday. The new law was signed by former Governor Rick Snyder back in November. It requires vehicles to slow down to 10 miles an hour below the speed limit and move over a lane if possible when around emergency or maintenance vehicles on the roadside. If found in violation of the new law, the fine is $400. This fine is more specific than the one it expands upon, which just required vehicles to use caution and move over a lane. And the city of Marquette is looking to reuse its wooden pilings at Founders Landing. City staff joined the city commission for a work session Wednesday. The proposed plan would see some form of a public use pier or piers. The cost is estimated around $5 million. That money has been secured through a brownfield plan. City officials say they hope it allows for more public access to the lake. No decision was made as the meeting was only a work session. The proposed plan would have to go before the city commission for approval.
The Houghton City Council decided not to support marijuana establishments at their regular meeting Wednesday. The council held a public hearing on a proposed ordinance that would ban businesses involved in the sale, production, transportation, and processing of recreational marijuana. The ordinance was unanimously passed, and the council says they believe this was the right choice for the city of Houghton. Houghton City Manager said the city is open to reconsidering if and when the state passes regulations. And the Great Lakes Recovery Center of Marquette says there has been a decrease in recidivism in the area over the past 3 years. They say it is due to their Offender Success Program, which helps offenders get back to their feet by providing them with job training and developmental skills. The program is funded by the Michigan Department of Corrections and has been operating for several years. The center has not yet received the report from MDOC for the past fiscal year, but they said they do not expect to see any changes.
The snow can be a lot of fun for many people, but it can also cause some frustration, especially when it comes to driving. As Megan Gasser and her friends were heading to Marquette Mountain Wednesday morning, they encountered a bit of a snag. They got caught in a fender bender, and the girls were taken by surprise, but they still headed out to Marquette Mountain despite the situation. The girls say due to their busy schedules, they can't normally enjoy these activities, which is why on their snow days, they'd rather be out enjoying the weather rather than staying in. And not only has the snow affected preparation for the UP 200 this year, but there are also changes to some routes. In previous years, the Jack Pine 30 route was dangerously close to M553 and railroad tracks. This year, more snowmobile trails are being utilized to avoid this. Despite the obstacles with the weather, the UPSDA says they are expecting a great turnout, with around 40 mushers registered across all races. More information on the UP 200 can be found on their website. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
On Margaret the Rebel Princess.
The Queen had official engagements, but Margaret's life was quite different.
She married a photographer. Everyone said this is so unsuitable.
Everywhere they went, they were the most important people in the room.
She was the representative not only of the UK, but of the monarchy.
The palace felt it was out of control. They couldn't do anything about it.
This was not at all what was meant to happen.
Sunday night at 10 on Public TV 13.
Welcome back. Google announced their plan to invest more than $13 billion on new and expanded data centers and offices across the U.S. this year. The new data centers will be built in Nevada, Texas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, to name a few. U.S. legislators have paid more attention to Google and some other big tech companies this past year and are considering potential privacy laws to try and regulate their reach. Google did not give the exact numbers of employees they expect to hire, but said the expansions would include tens of thousands of full-time workers. And a newly released video is raising questions about a company at the center of a criminal investigation stemming from the nation's opioid epidemic. Former executives and manager for Insys Therapeutics are on trial in Boston. They are accused of bribing doctors to prescribe a highly addictive fentanyl spray. Federal prosecutors allege the company used a music video to motivate employees to push sales of the medication. Tony Dokopil is following the trial.
Insys Therapeutics, that is our name. We're raising the bar and we're changing the game.
Federal prosecutors say this 5-minute rap video debuted at an incest sales conference in 2015. In it, 2 young salesmen promote the powerful fentanyl spray Subsys. The message: encourage incest sales representatives to push doctors to increase the strength of Subsys prescriptions until a patient reaches the adequate dosage. It's a process known as titration.
I love titration, yeah, that's not a problem. And I got new patients and I got a lot of them.
Prosecutors say the person wearing the Subsys costume, labeled with the medication's highest dosage, is Incest's former vice president of sales, Alec Burlikoff.
I love titration, yeah, that's not a problem.
In November, Burlikoff pleaded guilty in the nationwide conspiracy to bribe doctors to prescribe Subsys. He's expected to testify as a government witness. In 2017, CBS News learned Incest made 18,000 payments to doctors the year before that totaled more than $2 million.
Our resources.
Prosecutors claim Incest founder John Kapoor personally recruited physicians for a kickback scheme, which included dinners at high-end restaurants and payments for sham speaking engagements. Kapoor's attorney has claimed he's innocent.
They've made allegations about different marketing and sales techniques by the company. He was not involved in that at all.
In his final days in office, Governor Rick Snyder wiped out the felony drunken driving conviction of a man who pleaded for a pardon so he could seek a promotion as the next president of the Michigan Association of Certified Public Accountants. Jagger, 54, of Royal Oak, had 4 drunken driving convictions from 1989 to 2007. It's typically a misdemeanor, but he faced a felony charge after the last arrest because of his repeat offenses. Jagger spent $24.70 in October to send his pardon application overnight to Lansing. Cooper, the Detroit area prosecutor, sensed favoritism. Cooper says that her office in 2018 filed felony charges against nearly 700 people who are repeat offenders like Jagger. And the former deputy director of the FBI is revealing details from behind the scenes when he ordered the obstruction of justice investigation involving President Trump and possible ties to Russia. Andrew McCabe spoke with 60 Minutes in his first television interview since being fired. Nicole Killian reports from the White House.
Andrew McCabe became acting director of the FBI during the tumultuous days of May 2017. In an interview with Scott Pelley for 60 Minutes, he described a meeting in the Oval Office just hours after President Trump had fired FBI Director James Comey.
I was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia.
How long was it after that you decided to start the obstruction of justice and counterintelligence investigations involving the president?
I think the next day I met with the team investigating the Russia cases.
The White House dismissed that investigation as baseless, and this morning President Trump responded to McCabe's comments describing him as a puppet of James Comey. The president tweeted, "Disgraced Andrew McCabe pretends to be a poor little angel, when in fact he was a big part of the crooked Hillary scandal and the Russia hoax." McCabe was fired last March and has written a book about the FBI and his career. He tells Scott Pelley he was worried what would happen to the Russia investigation if he was let go.
I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanish in the night without a trace.
McCabe also confirms that the Deputy Attorney General considered wearing a wire in meetings with the president. The Justice Department says no recordings were ever authorized. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
And after this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist.
Then they came to take away the trade unionists.
And I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist.
Then they came to take away the Jews.
And I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.
Then they came to take away me.
And there was no one left to speak out for me.
And then they came for us, tonight at 10 on Public TV 13.
And welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Mason Wallace, wishing everyone a very happy Valentine's Day. And as you can see behind me, we are starting to get some slight rain as there is some freezing rain predicted in the forecast to start later tonight. Moving into current conditions, we are currently looking at cloudy with a temperature of 28 and winds south-southeast at 8 miles per hour with a barometric pressure at 29.83 and falling. Tonight you can expect snow also with a low of 19 degrees and winds northwest at 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, more snow with a high of 21 degrees and winds northwest at 23 miles per hour. And looking across the UP, we have pretty much clouds everywhere currently with 21 degrees up in Sault Ste. Marie, 28 in Manistique, 30 degrees in Escanaba, and 35 down in Menominee. Looking at the western half of the UP, it is 27 degrees in Iron Mountain, 26 in Ironwood, 31 up in the Keweenaw, and right back here in Marquette, it is 28 degrees. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Thursday, you can expect a high of 30 and a low of 17 with snow. Friday, a high of 20 with clouds and a low of 11. And Saturday, a high of 19 with a low of 11. Well, Jillian, we're supposed to get some freezing rain tonight, but I hope that doesn't affect the NMU men's basketball team as they hit the road this weekend.
That's right, Mason. They're taking on Ferris State this weekend. The NMU basketball teams return to action tonight, beginning a 5-game road trip with contests against Ferris State. The women's team topped the Bulldogs back on January 12th at the Barrie Event Center in a 53-42 win, while the men suffered a heartbreaking buzzer beater loss 62-59 against the defending national champions. The women currently sit third in the GLIAC standings, tied with Michigan Tech with a 12-3 conference mark, while Ferris is still jockeying for postseason position at 8-7. The Wildcat men sit at 9-6 in GLIAC play for 5th place and will also be looking to make up ground with a win as NMU sits tied with the Bulldogs in the standings. Tip-off in the women's game is set for 5:30 p.m. with the men to follow at 7:30. And in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks topped the Indiana Pacers 106-907 to improve a league-best 43-14 on the season. Bucks big man 6'11" Giannis Antetokounmpo led all scorers with 33 points, picking up a triple-double with 19 rebounds and 11 assists. Antetokounmpo is now averaging 27.2 points per game, 12.7 rebounds per game, and has emerged as one of the NBA's best players. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons fell to the Boston Celtics on the road yesterday by a score of 118-110. And it was a big day for Major League Baseball yesterday as pitchers and catchers from 19 of MLB's 30 teams reported for spring training. 7 more teams report today as baseball season gets back in full swing. The Detroit Tigers are looking to improve upon its dismal 64-98 record last season, using spring training to evaluate their young roster ahead of opening day in April. Full teams will join pitchers and catchers on February 18th or later. Opening day is set for March 28th this year, the earliest day in history.
Well, Julian, it's going to be a great weekend to go skiing with all the snow that we're getting.
It definitely is.
Are you going to hit the slopes?
I definitely am going to hit the slopes this weekend.
That's awesome. And that's all the time we have today on Public Eye News. But tune in again next time.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television. The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by